You know what nobody talks about? The weight of standing still. Not the kind of stillness that comes from rest or peace. I'm talking about that other kind. The kind where you're awake at 2 in the morning, scrolling through your phone, watching other people live the life you keep telling yourself you'll start tomorrow. That kind of stillness where you can feel time moving around you, but you're somehow frozen in place. You're not failing dramatically. You're not crashing and burning. You're just not moving. And that might be the most dangerous place to be. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of us aren't held back by catastrophic failures or terrible tragedies. We're held back by the quiet accumulation of days where we chose comfort over change. Days where we said, tomorrow, instead of today. Days where we convinced ourselves that if we can't do it perfectly, we shouldn't do it at all. I've been there. Standing at the base of a mountain so tall I couldn't see the top, telling myself that the first step doesn't matter because look how far I still have to go. What's one step when you need to climb 1,000? What's one page when you need to write a book? What's one workout when you need to transform your entire body? What's one difficult conversation when your whole relationship needs healing? So we wait. We wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect version of ourselves that's finally ready to make big moves. And while we're waiting, life keeps moving. Opportunities pass. Time slips away. And that gap between who we are and who we want to be? It gets wider. But what if I told you that everything you've been taught about change is backwards? What if the reason you haven't transformed your life isn't because you're lazy, or weak, or lacking discipline? What if it's because you've been aiming at the wrong target this whole time? Let me explain something that changed everything for me. We live in a culture that worships the dramatic transformation. The before and after photos. The rags to riches stories. The overnight success. We're addicted to the idea of the big moment, the breakthrough, the quantum leap that changes everything in an instant. And so we structure our entire approach to change around that mythology. We set massive goals. This is the year everything changes. We're going to lose 50 pounds, build a business, write a novel, completely reinvent ourselves. And for about 2 weeks, we're on fire. We're waking up at 5 in the morning, we're meal prepping, we're working on our side hustle every night. We're finally doing it. And then life happens. We get tired. We have a bad day. We skip one workout, miss one deadline, break the streak. And suddenly, the whole thing falls apart. Not gradually, catastrophically. Because we were operating on willpower and motivation, and those are finite resources. They run out. And when they do, we crash back to exactly where we started, except now we're carrying something extra, the weight of another failed attempt. More evidence that we can't change. More proof that we're just not the kind of person who follows through. But here's what I learned, and this is important. You were never supposed to rely on motivation. You were never supposed to transform your entire life in 30 days. That's not how human beings work. That's not how change works. That's not how anything sustainable is built. The truth is simpler and more powerful than any of that. You don't need to change your entire life. You need to change the next hour. You don't need to become a completely different person. You need to make one different choice. You don't need to climb the whole mountain today. You need to take one step, and then another, and then another. This is the power of small steps. This is the mathematics of marginal gains. This is the compound interest of personal growth. And it's not just a nice theory. It's how everything meaningful in your life has ever been built, whether you realized it or not. There's a principle that comes from the world of business and athletics, and it goes like this. If you get 1% better every single day for a year, you don't end up 1% better. You end up 37 times better. That's not a metaphor. That's mathematics. That's the power of compounding. But here's the thing most people miss. It also works in reverse. If you get 1% worse every day, if you make choices that are just slightly below your standards, if you compromise just a little bit each day, you don't end up a little worse. You end up nearly down to zero. You decay. You deteriorate. Not dramatically, quietly, gradually, until one day you wake up and you don't recognize the person in the mirror. Your life right now is the sum of your daily choices, not your intentions, not your goals, not your dreams, your choices. The things you actually do when nobody's watching. The decisions you make when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you don't feel like it. That's what builds your life. And the beautiful thing, the truly empowering thing, is that you get to choose. Right now, today, this hour, you get to decide whether you're going to move 1% closer to who you want to be or 1% further away. Now, I know what you're thinking. 1% doesn't feel like enough. It feels too small, too insignificant. You've got big problems, big goals, big dreams. How is 1% going to close that gap? And that's exactly the point. That's the mental trap we need to escape. The reason most people never change isn't because they don't take big enough steps. It's because they're not willing to take small ones. They're waiting for the grand gesture, the major breakthrough, the dramatic moment. And while they're waiting, they're taking no steps at all. But here's what actually happens when you commit to small steps, to 1% improvements, to daily marginal gains. You change the entire trajectory of your life. Think about a plane taking off from Los Angeles headed to New York. If that plane adjusts its course by just 1 degree, just one tiny degree, it doesn't land in New York. It lands in Washington, D.C. 1 degree. That's all it takes to end up in a completely different destination. Your daily choices are that 1 degree adjustment. They seem insignificant in the moment. But over time, over weeks and months and years, they determine where you end up. Let me give you a practical framework for how this actually works. Because it's one thing to understand the principle, and another thing entirely to apply it to your life. First principle, start so small it feels ridiculous. I mean it. If you want to start exercising, don't commit to an hour at the gym 6 days a week. Commit to 10 push-ups. Just 10. Every morning. That's it. If you want to start reading, don't aim for a book a week. Aim for 1 page a day. If you want to start meditating, don't download a 30-day challenge app. Sit quietly for 60 seconds. 1 minute. Because you're not trying to achieve the result yet. You're trying to build the identity. You're trying to prove to yourself that you're the kind of person who keeps commitments. You're rewiring your brain's understanding of who you are. See, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. 10 push-ups is a vote for being a healthy person. 1 page is a vote for being a reader. 60 seconds of quiet is a vote for being someone who has mastery over their own mind. And when you start accumulating votes, when you start building evidence, your identity begins to shift. You stop trying to be that person. You start being that person. And here's the magic. Once the identity shifts, the behavior becomes automatic. You don't have to motivate yourself to work out. You work out because that's what you do. You're a person who works out. It's not a goal anymore. It's just who you are. Second principle, focus on showing up, not on outcomes. This is where most people get it wrong. They start with enthusiasm, they do the thing for a few days, and when they don't see immediate results, they quit. I worked out for 2 weeks and I don't look any different. I've been applying for jobs for a month and haven't gotten any interviews. I've been trying to be more patient with my kids and I still lost my temper today. So they give up. They decide it's not working. But here's what you need to understand. The results aren't the point. Not in the beginning. In the beginning, the only point is to establish the pattern. To build the habit. To show up consistently. Because consistency is the prerequisite for results. You can't skip it. You can't hack it. You have to put in the time. Think about it like this. If you plant a seed in the ground and water it every day, nothing happens. For days, for weeks, you're watering dirt. You see no progress, no growth, no results. But something is happening beneath the surface. Roots are forming. Foundations are being laid. And then one day, a sprout breaks through the soil. And suddenly, growth becomes visible, rapid, obvious. But that growth was only possible because of all those days when nothing seemed to be happening. All those days when you kept showing up anyway. Your life works the same way. You're not going to see results immediately. You're going to water dirt. You're going to show up and feel like nothing is changing. And that's when most people quit. Right before the breakthrough. Right before the sprout breaks through. Don't be that person. Trust the process. Show up. Do the work. Even when you can't see the progress. Especially when you can't see the progress. Because it's happening. Beneath the surface. in ways you can't measure yet. But it's happening. Third principle, make it easy to start and easier to continue. Here's a hard truth. Willpower is overrated. Discipline is overrated. Not because they're not important, but because we've been taught to rely on them for the wrong things. We think we need discipline to force ourselves to do hard things. And sometimes, yes, that's true. But more often, we need to design our lives so that the right choices become the easy choices. If you want to start running in the morning, sleep in your workout clothes. Put your shoes by the bed. Remove every obstacle between waking up and getting out the door. Don't rely on your morning self to make the right choice. Your morning self is tired and wants to stay in bed. Make the choice the night before when you're thinking clearly. Then remove all friction. If you want to eat healthier, don't keep junk food in the house. Don't test your willpower every time you open the cabinet. Design your environment so that the healthy choice is the easy choice. If you want to read more, put your phone in another room before bed and put a book on your pillow. When you get in bed, the book is right there. The phone isn't. You've already made the choice. You just have to follow through. This is how you build sustainable change. Not by becoming a person with superhuman discipline, but by becoming a person who makes smart decisions about their environment, their systems, their default choices. Fourth principle, track progress, not perfection. You're going to mess up. You're going to miss days. You're going to fall short of your own standards. That's not failure. That's being human. The difference between people who transform their lives and people who don't isn't that successful people never mess up. It's that they don't let one missed day become two. They don't let one bad choice become a bad week. They have a simple rule, never miss twice. Missed your workout today? But don't miss tomorrow. Ate junk food for lunch? Make dinner healthy. Had a lazy morning? That's all right. Make the afternoon productive. You're not aiming for perfection. You're aiming for consistency. And consistency doesn't mean never failing. It means always returning, always getting back on track, always taking the next step, even after you've stumbled. Keep track of your progress. Put an X on the calendar for every day you do the thing. Watch the chain grow. Your only job is to not break the chain. And if you do break it, start a new one immediately. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for next month. Start now. Fifth principle, protect the habit, not the intensity. When life gets hard, when you're tired, when circumstances aren't ideal, most people think the choice is between doing the full thing or doing nothing. So they do nothing. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect energy level, the perfect conditions. But that's a false choice. There's a third option, do less, but do something. Can't do a full workout? Do 5 minutes. Can't write 1,000 words? Write 100. Can't meal prep for the whole week? Prep for tomorrow. Can't have a long conversation with your partner? Have a short one. The goal isn't to maintain peak intensity at all times. The goal is to maintain the identity, to continue being the person who shows up. Because once you break the pattern, once you give yourself permission to skip, it becomes exponentially harder to start again. But if you protect the habit, if you find a way to show up even in a diminished capacity, you maintain the identity. You keep the chain alive. You stay in the game. And when life settles down, when you have more energy, more time, more capacity, you can ramp back up. But you never stopped being that person. You never broke the pattern. This is how you survive the inevitable storms of life without losing all your progress. This is how you build something that lasts. Now, let me speak to something deeper for a moment, because this isn't just about productivity or achievement or checking boxes. This is about something more fundamental. This is about self-respect. Every time you make a commitment to yourself and break it, you damage your relationship with yourself. You learn that you can't trust your own word. You learn that your promises don't mean anything. And over time, that erodes your self-confidence, your self-esteem, your sense of personal power. But every time you make a commitment and keep it, even a small one, you build trust with yourself. You prove that your word means something. You demonstrate that you're capable, that you're reliable, that you're the kind of person who follows through. And that builds something invaluable. It builds self-respect. It builds genuine confidence. Not the fake kind that comes from talking big. The real kind that comes from doing what you said you would do. And here's what changes when you have that, everything. When you trust yourself, you stop making excuses. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop needing external validation or motivation. You know who you are. You know what you're capable of. And you show up and do the work because that's what you do. That's who you are. That's the transformation I'm talking about. Not just changing your body or your bank account or your career. Changing your relationship with yourself. Becoming someone you trust. Someone you respect. Someone you're proud to be. And that doesn't happen through one massive change. It happens through 1,000 small choices. Through showing up when you don't feel like it. Through keeping your word to yourself when nobody else would know if you didn't. Through choosing who you want to be, one decision at a time, until that choice becomes automatic. Imagine your life a year from now. Not a fantasy version where everything is perfect. A realistic version where you've been showing up consistently, making 1% improvements, taking small steps every single day for 365 days. What would be different? Maybe you'd be 40 pounds lighter. Maybe you'd have read 50 books. Maybe you'd have saved $10,000. Maybe your relationship would be stronger. Maybe you'd have that side business generating real income. Maybe you'd have written half a novel. Maybe you'd have developed a meditation practice that gives you genuine peace. But more than any of those external changes, you'd be different. You'd be someone who keeps commitments. Someone who shows up. Someone who does hard things. Someone who doesn't need permission or perfect conditions or motivation. Someone who just does the work. And that person? That person can build anything. That person can face anything. That person doesn't have to wonder if they're capable anymore. They know. They have evidence. They have proof. They have a track record. That's what's available to you. Not someday. Not when you're ready. Not when everything lines up perfectly. Today. Right now. This moment. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to know every step. You don't need to be ready. You just need to start. One small step. 1% better. One choice that moves you toward who you want to be instead of away from it. And then tomorrow, you do it again. And the day after that, you do it again. And slowly, quietly, without fanfare or drama, your life begins to change. Not all at once. Gradually. Consistently. Undeniably. The mountain is still tall. The gap is still there. But you're moving now. You're not standing still anymore. And that changes everything. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Choose one thing. One small thing. Something so easy you can't fail. And do it. Right now. Take that first step. And then tomorrow, take another. And the day after, another. Don't worry about where you'll be in a year. Don't think about the whole journey. Just take the next step. And then the next. And then the next. Because here's what I know. You're capable of more than you think you are. You're stronger than you believe. You're one decision away from a completely different trajectory. Not a different life overnight, but a different direction. A path that leads somewhere better than where you're headed now. And all it takes is one small step. So take it.